Have you ever wondered why some of the faces that once ruled the silver screen, the very icons of our youth, suddenly seem to disappear? We're often used to seeing sensational headlines about scandals or dramatic falls from fame, but sometimes the truth behind the curtain is far more heartbreaking. For many stars, it wasn't controversy or fading popularity that ended their time in the spotlight. Instead, it was serious illness, an invisible struggle that forced them to step away quietly, far from the cameras and applause. Behind the fame and glamour were real people facing difficult battles, often choosing privacy and dignity while dealing with challenges most of the public never saw. Today, we're not talking about downfalls, we're talking about silent battles for survival. From the bittersweet smile of Tim Curry to the quiet struggle of Bruce Willis, what really happened behind the curtain? Let's pull back the veil and discover the incredible strength of these stars, heroes who faced life's toughest challenges without capes. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment 1 if you're ready to hear these powerful untold stories. Let's begin. Continuing our journey through the lives of legends, let's turn to Neil Diamond, one of America's most beloved musical icons. With timeless hits like Sweet Caroline, a song that has become a stadium anthem around the world, he's more than just a singer, he's a cherished memory for generations of fans. For more than 50 years, Diamond stood at the height of fame, where the glow of stage lights and the roar of thousands of voices became the familiar rhythm of his everyday life. Yet in 2018, just before his 77th birthday, and in the middle of an electrifying anniversary tour, a sudden silence fell. Neil Diamond shocked fans around the world when he canceled all remaining concerts in Australia and New Zealand and announced his retirement from touring. The reason was a diagnosis of Parkinson's disease. It was not a voluntary break, but a difficult decision forced by his health, a moment no performer ever hopes to face after spending a lifetime on stage. The reason behind that sudden halt was a diagnosis of Parkinson's disease, a silent yet relentless challenge for any performing artist. This degenerative condition doesn't just cause tremors. It can gradually affect movement, coordination, and the stamina required to perform on a large stage. For someone like Neil Diamond, who spent decades shining under the spotlight, the realization that his body could no longer keep up with the demands of touring was an incredibly difficult moment. After a lifetime devoted to music and live performances, stepping away from the stage meant letting go of the rhythm that had defined much of his life. In the heartfelt message he shared with fans, Neil Diamond expressed no bitterness or anger, only deep gratitude and a quiet sense of sadness. In a poetic reflection, he compared himself to a lone traveler who must dismount when the road ahead becomes too difficult to continue. That sense of dignity touched millions. Fans didn't just feel the loss of a legendary voice stepping away from the stage, they also admired the grace and humility of an artist who understood when it was time to pause and appreciate the journey he had already traveled. However, stepping away from the spotlight didn't mean the fire inside Neil Diamond had gone out. After retiring from touring due to Parkinson's disease, he continued to write and record music in the studio, a place where creativity could flourish without the physical demands of long tours and exhausting performances. For Diamond, music was no longer about conquering massive arenas. Instead, it became something more personal, a source of comfort and strength, helping him stay connected to the passion that had shaped his life while facing his illness with quiet resilience. Next, we come to the story of Linda Ronstadt, a powerful reminder of one of the most heartbreaking losses an artist can experience. Once celebrated as the Queen of Rock, Ronstadt possessed one of the most versatile and commanding voices of the 20th century. She was a rare performer who could move effortlessly across genres, from the raw energy of rock music to the warmth of country music and even the refined beauty of opera. Her voice was more than just talent. It was a remarkable instrument capable of reaching deep into the emotions of audiences around the world. but fate dealt Linda Ronstadt a cruel blow in the form of progressive supranuclear palsy, a rare and severe neurological condition that was initially mistaken for Parkinson's disease. This relentless illness gradually affected her movement, balance, and control, ultimately taking away the very gift that had defined her life, her voice. In 2013, Ronstadt revealed to the world that she was no longer able to sing even a single note, a heartbreaking moment that marked the quiet end of one of the most extraordinary voices in modern music history. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the depth of that loss. For Linda Ronstadt, losing the ability to sing because of progressive supranuclear palsy was not just the loss of a skill, it meant the disappearance of the very expression that had defined her life. She once described the feeling with a haunting all-a-z comparison, like being trapped in a broken elevator suspended between floors. The mind continues to send commands, but the body no longer responds. For someone whose voice once moved millions, that silence became a powerful and deeply personal reality. Yet even at the edge of despair, when her singing voice had fallen silent, Linda Ronstadt refused to surrender to fate. Rather than withdrawing from the public eye, she chose to return in a different way. She picked up the pen and wrote her memoir, Simple Dreams, a musical memoir, turning the music she could no longer sing into thoughtful and deeply personal reflections. The silence that replaced her voice gave rise to another kind of expression, one built on honesty, resilience, and strength. Today, Ronstadt continues to speak openly about progressive supranuclear palsy, raising awareness about the condition and transforming her personal struggle into inspiration and hope for many others facing similar challenges. Let's begin this journey with Tim Curry, a name that has become legendary among film and theater lovers. If you've ever felt chills watching the sinister grin of Pennywise in it, or been captivated by the eccentric charm of Dr. Frank-N-Furter in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, then you already know the magnetic presence he brought to the screen. Curry was never just an actor, he was the embodiment of transformation itself. With explosive stage energy and a powerful, commanding voice, he had a rare ability to dominate any performance and leave an unforgettable impression on audiences. But life doesn't always follow the bright script we hope for. In 2012, a devastating turning point struck Tim Curry when he suffered a severe stroke. The sudden health crisis dramatically changed the life of the actor whose career had long depended on his expressive movement, powerful stage presence, and unmistakable voice. What had once been effortless energy on stage and screen suddenly became a difficult new reality. For an artist known for such vivid performances, the stroke marked a painful and unexpected chapter in his life. From the image of a performer who once danced confidently across the Broadway stage, Tim Curry has since had to adapt to life using a wheelchair after his 2012 stroke. The stroke greatly affected his mobility and speech abilities that had been central to the expressive performances audiences loved. For someone whose voice and movement once commanded the stage, adjusting to these changes was undoubtedly challenging. Yet rather than disappearing completely from public life, Curry gradually found new ways to stay connected with fans and the creative world that had defined his career. Yet the most inspiring part of Tim Curry's story is how he faced this difficult turning point. After his 2012 stroke, he refused to let sympathy or physical limitations define his identity. Rather than disappearing to protect the image of who he once was, Curry chose to return to the public eye and embrace a new chapter of life. Though his body had changed, the qualities that made audiences love him, his sharp wit, warmth, and unmistakable spark, remained clearly visible whenever he appeared in interviews or public events. He refused to walk away from his craft, because for Tim Curry, art had never been just a career, it was a vital part of who he was. After his 2012 stroke limited his mobility and performance style, Curry adapted by focusing more on voice work and creative appearances that required less physical movement. Through voice acting and special projects, he continued to share his talent with audiences. Even though his voice no longer carried the same booming strength it once had on stage, the emotion, humor, and storytelling that defined his performances still resonated deeply with fans, proving that true artistry can endure beyond physical limitations. The Tim Curry we see today may move more slowly than in the past, yet his story stands as a powerful symbol of resilience. After the life-changing stroke he suffered in 2012, Curry adapted to new realities while continuing to share his creativity and humor with the world. His journey reminds fans that while the body can face limitations, the spirit of a true artist is far harder to confine. Rather than being defined by hardship, his story has become one of perseverance and dignity, a testament to strength, reinvention, and the enduring passion that continues to inspire audiences everywhere. Sam Neill, the face forever etched into film history as Dr. Alan Grant in Jurassic Park, once stood bravely before roaring dinosaurs on the big screen. Yet in real life, he found himself confronting a far more serious challenge. In 2023, Neill revealed that he had been battling T-cell lymphoma, a rare form of blood cancer. The announcement surprised many fans, as the actor had quietly endured a long and demanding medical journey before sharing his story publicly. The man who had always radiated calm humor and quiet strength suddenly found himself confronting a harsh reality. As Sam Neill underwent treatment for T-cell lymphoma, he faced a period filled with uncertainty about the future. During those difficult months, Neill turned to writing as a way to process his experiences. He began working on his memoir, Did I Ever Tell You This? A reflective and often humorous look back at his life, career, and the challenges he was facing. The book became both a personal outlet and a heartfelt way to share his journey with readers. Sam Neill later shared that the first pages he wrote were never meant for the public at all. They began simply as a heartfelt message for his children and grandchildren, a way to preserve his memories and the stories of his life. While facing treatment for T-cell lymphoma, he worried that if he didn't survive, the experiences that shaped who he was might fade away with him. Writing gradually became a powerful source of strength. Through the pages that would eventually become Did I Ever Tell You This? Neill found a sense of purpose and stability, helping him stay mentally focused and hopeful while navigating the physical and emotional challenges of his illness. Sam Neill has spoken openly about how difficult his treatment journey has been while battling T-cell lymphoma. He went through demanding rounds of chemotherapy that left him physically exhausted and dramatically changed his appearance during treatment. When standard chemotherapy stopped working effectively, Neill began a different treatment approach using a newer medication. The therapy requires regular infusions every couple of weeks to keep the disease under control. While the regimen is strict and ongoing, it has allowed him to continue living and working, showing remarkable resilience as he adapts to life with a long-term medical treatment. Although the treatments and medications constantly remind Sam Neill of his condition, they are also what allow him to continue enjoying life and the moments that matter most. Living with ongoing treatment for T-cell lymphoma means adapting to a new routine, but it has also given him time to keep doing the things he loves. What many people admire most about Neill is his perspective. In interviews promoting his memoir, Did I Ever Tell You This?, he spoke candidly about life and mortality, even saying that he is not especially afraid of death. Instead, he joked that what truly worries him is boredom, the thought of not being able to keep creating, telling stories, and staying curious about the world. Rather than stepping away from life, Sam Neill has continued to stay active and creative. Alongside occasional film and television projects, he spends much of his time caring for his beloved vineyard in New Zealand, a peaceful place that has become an important part of his daily life. Living with ongoing treatment for T-cell lymphoma has changed his perspective in a profound way. For Neill, waking up each day is no longer something to take for granted. It is a reminder of how valuable life truly is. With gratitude and quiet optimism, he continues to embrace each moment, determined to enjoy the simple gift of being alive. Val Kilmer was once the embodiment of magnetic charm on the big screen. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, a star whose presence every director wanted. From the cool, confident fighter pilot Iceman opposite Tom Cruise in Top Gun, to the intense portrayal of Jim Morrison in The Doors, Kilmer captivated audiences with his powerful voice and unmistakable screen presence. But in 2015, his life took a dramatic turn when he was diagnosed with throat cancer, a serious illness that would profoundly change both his health and his career. The illness did more than threaten the health of Val Kilmer. It struck at the very core of his identity as a performer. After being diagnosed with throat cancer, Kilmer underwent an emergency tracheotomy that ultimately saved his life. But the procedure came with a profound cost: the loss of the powerful, recognizable voice that had defined so many of his performances. For an actor, a voice is far more than a physical ability. It is the instrument through which emotion, personality, and character are brought to life. Losing that voice meant facing not only a medical battle, but also a deeply personal challenge, as Kilmer adapted to a completely new way of communicating and expressing himself. Losing his voice seemed like a devastating turning point for Val Kilmer. After his diagnosis of throat cancer and the life-saving tracheotomy that followed, he spent years largely out of the spotlight, adjusting to the physical and emotional impact of the illness and the changes it brought to his life. But his story did not end in silence. In 2021, the documentary Val introduced audiences to a deeply personal side of the actor. Using decades of personal footage and reflections from Kilmer himself, the film revealed a man who had faced hardship with honesty and resilience. Rather than hiding from his struggles, he chose to share them openly, transforming what once felt like loss into a powerful story of courage, vulnerability, and reinvention. In the years that followed, Val Kilmer gradually chose openness over hiding. After surviving throat cancer and undergoing a tracheotomy, he began speaking publicly about the difficult realities of his recovery and the lasting physical changes he faced. Through the documentary Val, audiences saw a deeply personal portrait of the actor, not the glamorous Hollywood star of the past, but a man confronting vulnerability with honesty. Viewers were moved by the effort it took for him to communicate using assistive technology and by his willingness to show the truth of his journey. Rather than diminishing him, that openness revealed a different kind of strength. By setting aside the polished image of fame and sharing his real struggles, Kilmer demonstrated a powerful form of courage, the courage to be authentic, even in the face of profound change. When Val Kilmer lost much of his natural voice after treatment for throat cancer, he discovered a different way to communicate with the world. His words often came through writing, careful gestures, and assistive technology, but also through the emotion still visible in his expressions and eyes. His story revealed an important truth: communication is not limited to the sound of a voice. Through his reflections and appearances, especially in the documentary Val, Kilmer showed that connection, humor, and creativity can still shine through even when the tools an artist once relied on have changed. In many ways, he found a new kind of voice, one shaped by resilience, honesty, and the determination to keep sharing his story with the world. That painful yet powerful transformation turned Val Kilmer from someone facing immense hardship into a symbol of resilience. His journey showed that creativity and artistic spirit can endure even when the tools an artist once relied on have changed. One of the most emotional moments for audiences came with his return as Iceman in Top Gun: Maverick, alongside Tom Cruise. In the scene, Iceman communicates by typing before briefly speaking with the assistance of technology. The moment carried a deeper meaning because it mirrored Kilmer's real-life experience after his battle with throat cancer. For many viewers, it felt like reality and cinema blending together, a touching tribute not only to the character of Iceman, but also to the strength and perseverance of the actor who brought him back to life. No tribute to resilience would be complete without remembering Olivia Newton-John, forever beloved as Sandy in Grease. With her golden hair, radiant smile, and crystal-clear voice, she became a symbol of youthful romance and optimism for audiences around the world. Yet behind the bright lights of pop stardom and the joyful dance numbers was a life marked by extraordinary courage. For decades, Newton-John faced repeated battles with breast cancer, confronting the illness with remarkable openness and determination while continuing to inspire millions of fans. It was not a short fight, but a long and difficult journey for Olivia Newton-John. Her first diagnosis of breast cancer came in 1992, at a time when her career and public influence were still very strong. She stepped away from many professional commitments to focus on treatment and recovery. For years afterward, it seemed she had overcome the worst of the illness. However, the disease later returned, including a recurrence reported in 2013 after a serious accident that led doctors to discover the cancer had spread. Despite these setbacks, Newton-John continued to approach life with remarkable optimism, using her experience to encourage awareness, support research, and inspire others facing similar battles. And then the struggle grew even more serious in 2017, when doctors confirmed that the cancer had spread to her bones, an advanced stage of breast cancer. For many people, facing such a diagnosis even once would feel overwhelming. Yet Olivia Newton-John endured multiple recurrences over the course of 3 decades, confronting each challenge with remarkable determination. What inspired people around the world was her attitude. Rather than presenting herself as a victim or blaming fate, Newton-John chose to focus on hope, healing, and helping others. Through her advocacy, charity work, and openness about her journey, she turned her long battle with illness into a source of encouragement and strength for countless people facing similar struggles. Olivia Newton-John transformed her personal struggle into a powerful source of hope for others. After facing repeated battles with breast cancer, she devoted much of her energy to supporting patients and advancing research. One of her most meaningful contributions was helping establish the Olivia Newton-John Cancer Wellness and Research Center in Australia, a facility dedicated to treatment, research, and patient support. Beyond that, Newton-John spoke openly about approaches that helped her cope with pain and recovery, while encouraging compassion and holistic care for those living with cancer. Even while enduring difficult treatments, she often appeared in public with the same warm, radiant smile that had charmed audiences for decades, offering encouragement and comfort to many who saw her strength and positivity. The passing of Olivia Newton-John in August 2022 left a deep sense of loss among fans around the world. Yet her life story also stands as a powerful example of grace and perseverance. After decades of living with and advocating awareness for breast cancer, she remained a symbol of compassion, strength, and hope until the end. Her legacy extends far beyond her music and memorable performances in films like Grease. What many people remember most is the spirit she carried throughout her journey, an unwavering optimism even during the darkest moments. Through her life, Newton-John reminded the world that what truly matters is not just how long we live, but how much courage, kindness, and love we bring to the time we are given. And what about you? Do you believe Olivia's resilience and optimism were the greatest lessons she left to the world? If you agree, drop a 1-inch the comments. If you're not completely convinced, leave a 0 and share your thoughts. We'd love to hear your perspective. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. And be sure to join the conversation below. Your voice might inspire someone else in our community.